sorted out, but nope. All right, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties. You know, it never is perfect. All right, so welcome everyone, and welcome back to whoever is here and was part of the class before, and welcome to our new participants. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Katie Butler, and I work with the Gaylord Sports Association as a program specialist, as well as the CTRS with our inpatients at Gaylord. Tonight is our second class in the Gaylord Sports Association Mindful Resilience Yoga Series this fall. So we have had 3 classes scheduled, and our last is on December 15th. And just a few announcements before we start. As always, we ask you to leave your video on so that the instructor can see you and help with any questions you may have. We ask that you mute yourself to limit background noise. And if you have any questions or need assistance, you can either briefly unmute or use the chat feature, which I will be monitoring. For tonight's class, you will need a sturdy chair to sit down in with no armrests. And then just a few safety reminders. Remember to have water nearby and hydrate before, during, and after. Listen to your body and know your limits. If you're experiencing any pain, nausea, dizziness, or other symptoms, please stop, take a break, and evaluate if you need to stop exercising. Proper form is important to avoid injury and get the most out of the exercises. So if you have any questions on the form, please ask. And next, I would like to introduce our instructor, Rebecca Smith. Rebecca has taught yoga for over 10 years, including private lessons, ongoing public classes, and teacher trainings. She's an ambassador for Veterans Yoga Project, teaching the techniques of mindful resilience to any and everyone open to learning. Her main hub for teaching these days is at Breathing Room Yoga Center in downtown New Haven. And here we go. I'm turning it over to Rebecca. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to change my audio to my. Okay. Welcome to class. Welcome back to the familiar faces. I'm happy to hear just before we started our recording that some of you have been using that first class. As Katie stated and your screen stated, this is being recorded for you to be able to use it again and again. So in our first session, in our first session, we worked on the tools of mindful resilience that can really be done anywhere. So some simple stretches, some very simple breathing techniques that we can do at any time of the day. Today, we're going to add in a little bit more of the asana or physical postures that we find in yoga, just a little bit more tonight. And that will help to sort of round out what would be a nice morning practice or a sort of bigger movement practice. So I want to tell you that ahead of time because it is evening. We're not going to do it really quickly. We'll do it nice and slow, and we'll only go through the series of postures about 2 or 3 times to learn the set. But if you wanted to do it as a warm-up in the morning to really get your body going, you would do it a little bit faster, and you could do it the traditional number, which is 6 times. What I'm talking about is, of course, a sun salutation or a Surya Namaskar. So I know some of you do yoga regularly. We're going to do a lovely chair version that I actually learned from another yoga teacher who has MS and practices strictly wheelchair yoga. So she taught me her version of a sun salutation, and I loved it, and I want to share it with you. Everything is optional. Please modify, omit, add, deduct, whatever you want. I always like to tell people, this is a really cheesy joke, but I have a 2.5-year-old at home. She listens to nothing I say, and she's still my favorite person on the planet. So there's really no pressure whatsoever to do anything I say, okay? Nothing is a command. It's all a suggestion to you. This is your practice. So we'll start comfortably seated, however you'd like. If that means leaning against the back of your chair, crisscross applesauce with those legs, feet flat on the floor, whatever you need to do, feet in your footrests if you're using wheelchair, whatever you need. You can soften your gaze or close your eyes and just start to settle in and tune in. As you settle in, your mind will most likely go to something. What are you noticing right now? What is loudest for you in your internal landscape? Maybe it's the physical sensation.
a place where there's perhaps some discomfort or attention needed. Perhaps you're noticing your breath, you're beginning to deepen it. Perhaps you're noticing a busy mind. There's no wrong answer. Whatever it is that is speaking loudest to you has been there all along. So in this moment, what we're practicing is not trying to quiet it or distance ourselves from it, but just to notice that it's actually separate from ourselves. Right? Everything is temporary and passing. Our thoughts and sensations change from moment to moment. In that observation, in that noticing of whatever it is, your breath, your thoughts, your body, you're moving into what we call the seat of the observer. And now the practice of yoga begins. I'll invite you to continue to notice throughout our time together. You may hear me ask you to notice a physical sensation, or a breath, or a thought. That practice of noticing is the practice of yoga. To join, to yoke in the present moment, our body, mind, and breath. So if it's comfortable for you, you can bring your left hand towards your belly and your right hand towards your heart. Notice if you're holding tension in your shoulders, your jaw, or your forehead that you can let soften just in that noticing. Feel the ground and the chair beneath you. On your next exhale, empty your breath all the way out, slowly and completely. Feel yourself dropping into that support. Spend the next few breaths feeling yourself dropping into the support beneath you, whatever it may be. At first, the action is just the dropping in, the letting go of tension, the melting or absorbing, if you will, into the support beneath you. And from that place of relaxation, we can begin to call up the actions that we intend to do. So we let go of the extra or accidental or unnecessary tension in the body. And as we do, we have all of the energy that we were using for that to put towards what we actually want to use it for. So now that we've fully dropped in, we'll shift from dropping into a sensation of rooting down to rise up. So imagine that in each place where you connect with the support beneath you, whether that's the chair or the floor or both, that you could feel yourself pressing into it a little bit, activate, press into the surface and feel yourself sitting up a little taller. That may even mean that you're no longer leaning back against your backrest. Now, as you're rooting down and rising up, you're creating more space for your breath as you elongate your trunk. See if you can start to send your inhale down to that hand that's on your belly. Notice how it passes the hand on your chest and maybe fills there too. When you exhale all the way out, slowly and completely, you may notice some natural core tension that helps to expel the breath. Feel that go by a few more times. Nice big full inhales like you're filling a balloon. The breath is allowed to really drop into the belly, the back, the sides of the waist. Exhaling slowly and completely. As you become aware of that core strength and tension that we intentionally use to press the breath out, watch out for any sort of secondary tension that's accidental and not needed. So at the bottom of that exhale, do you tend to clench your jaw or shrug your shoulders up or begin to sort of curl your posture or lift your eyebrows? And instead, can you feel just the work that's necessary and nothing else? So we're refining this practice. We're always looking to go to a more and more subtle awareness. Exhaling slowly and completely, feeling the strength of your core without needing any excess tension in the shoulders, face, neck. We'll be breathing deeply here for a few more rounds, and I'll ask you to see if you can elongate your exhale. So if you like counting, you can count your breath, and you're inhaling for maybe a 4, and we're looking to exhale for longer than that. So at first, if your exhale feels short, just work on evening it out, inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 4. If you're already in a fairly calm, deep breath, and there isn't a lot of resistance to that counting, maybe you start to exhale for a count of 5 or even 6 or more. So you're inhaling for 4, and it's kind of a big blustering inhale that sweeps into the body and fills against all sides like you're filling a balloon. And then this cool, steady, slow exhale that eases the breath out, taking more time than it took to bring it in. If you're new to this idea of elongating the exhale, it's a great place to start to just work on inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 6. If this is not new to you, I'm going to encourage you to also elongate the pause after your exhale. Okay, so we're inhaling for 4, we're exhaling for 6 or more, and then we're holding that breath out for maybe an extra beat or 2 or 3 or 4. Now, it's natural as we take our time with this breath for the chitta vritti, or the fluctuations of the mind, our monkey mind, it's the human condition, to be distracted, to be uncomfortable, to be bored, to want to do something different. I invite you to come back to your breath for one more round, inhaling 4, exhaling 6 or more, and maybe holding that breath out for a few counts. Come back home to the breath. Come back home to the present moment. Find comfort in the discomfort of presence. And then on your next inhale, take a nice big sweeping inhale and let it go with a sigh. And you can let your hands come to rest on your lap. Check in with yourself. How was that for you? Were you able to observe the fluctuations of the mind, the body, the breath, or did you get wrapped up in them? And just in noticing, if you did get wrapped up, you're one step closer to not getting wrapped up. And so it's a moment to celebrate. When you're ready, you can bring your hands together one more time and rub those hands together. Build some heat in the palms and the hands. And when the hands get nice and warm, we're going to cup them over your eyes. If you're wearing glasses, you can make a bigger cup so that you're cupping over your glasses as well. And open your eyes from behind your hands and then gently peel those hands away. It's like a shot of espresso. Right? If we bring that heat, the darkness, and then re-enter the light, it's a really nice way to just kind of wake up the senses and come back to the space around us after we withdrew our senses so much for that breath practice. Okay. So if it's comfortable for you to scoot forward in your chair a little bit, you might scoot forward a few inches just so that you're not tempted to kind of curve and lean back. If you're sitting on the floor, feel free to change the arrangement of your legs at any time. So we'll begin with the 6 movements of the spine. We're going to bring the hands to the knees or the thighs. And as you inhale, start to lift your chest forward and open. And you might look up to where the ceiling meets the wall, or even higher than that if your neck allows. Watch out for that jaw and forehead trying to get in on the action. We don't need to lift our eyebrows to lift our gaze, but your eyebrows may believe otherwise. On your next exhale, you're going to start to round through your spine. Let your chin drop down and maybe curve into the spine if that feels okay for you, shoulders away from your ears. Just accessing whatever you can here, however much that is. Keep on going with that, following your breath. Inhaling, coming forward and open, lifting the chest, lifting your gaze. Exhaling, rounding and tucking, again, in your own breath pace. So the breath work that we did to start, that elongation of the exhale, is activating what's called your parasympathetic nervous system, or your rest and digest. And it's so important to go to that place first before we begin our movements, so that our body is relaxed enough to actually let go of some of the tension that we come across. So as you're moving through the spine here, if you feel maybe like a little twinge or a tension or a tightness or a discomfort anywhere in the spine, stay in that shape if you can tolerate it, and take a few deep breaths and see if you can sort of send the breath to that space to start to let it go. It really does work. Elongating that exhale can be something that you come back to at any point. We'll take one more of this cow and cat, or moos and meows. And then on your next inhale, you can sit tall to the best of your ability. Good. We'll hold on to the chair or the armrest, or just hand to the floor with that right hand. And I'm going to be mirroring you. We'll take the left arm either upwards, skywards, if the shoulder says okay. And if not, that hand can come forward or even across your chest. So these are all viable, wonderful options. On your inhale, reach up even taller through that left side. And then as you exhale, a little lean to the side. Start to bend your elbow and let yourself be supported by that right hand that's holding the chair or the floor, so that you can sort of press down into it, root to rise, and spin your chest, your side body up and open towards the sky a little bit more. Sending big sweeping breaths into that whole left side body, this one that we're stretching here. If your neck is tired, feel free to look down instead. One more big breath there. And then coming back to sit tall. And before you do the other side, just those 3 or 4 breaths we took, notice the difference. Do you feel a big difference? I certainly do. How simple and how quick and easy is that to just do it, right? Anytime that you need. So we're going to do the other side now. We'll hold on with the left hand to the chair or rested on that floor if you're seated. We'll reach up through the right arm, or we'll reach forward or across if the shoulder says no thanks. Use your next inhale to get even taller. Feel yourself rooting down through your sits bones, rooting down through your feet, reaching up through that hand, and then kind of ease your way out. Good. Then use the hand that's grounding you, that left hand. Press down into that hand and spin, spiral, open and up a little more. So think about yourself as a plant growing towards the sunlight. We're not trying to droop, right? You've been watered, okay? You've been watered. You can grow tall and long. And one more full big breath into that right side body. And then coming back to your tall seat. And hopefully they're feeling a bit more even now. So we've done 4 out of 6 movements. If you're quizzing yourself from our last session, we did flexion and extension. We did side and side. What's left? A nice easy twist. As I always say, we're not looking for a chiropractic adjustment. Go to one of those if that's what you want, okay? So this is an easy twist to go just to where your wants to go. We're not yanking ourselves past that point. So once more, we'll take that left arm towards the sky. Inhale, reach up tall, root down. And then as you exhale, you're going to just bring that hand across your body, either to the outside of that right leg or to the chair. If you have armrests, you can use that armrest. Inhale, sit even taller where you are. And then as you exhale, feel your front ribs sort of knit in towards each other, like there's a little shoelace there. And see if you can begin to look over that back shoulder. Everything is incremental and subtle. We're looking for small changes and shifts. The big ones are easy to notice, but the real observation is in those tiny shifts, can they feel like a mile? Because we're so keenly aware of our internal landscape. And on your next inhale, we'll come back to center. We're going to take it over to the other side. So we'll reach that right arm high or forwards, get even longer and taller, and then take it to the outside edge of that opposite leg. So right hand to the outside of the left leg or the chair or the armrest. Then inhale and sit tall again. As you exhale, complete your twist by knitting the front ribs in towards each other, keeping the shoulders broad. You might look over that back shoulder, which would be your left in this case. Think about keeping your sits bones down so the hips are staying centered, and it's the spine that's spiraling. It's the upper body or the torso that's spiraling. Whether we're seated in a chair or on the floor, whether we're flat-footed or crisscross. On your next inhale, we'll gently release back to center. Good. Maybe one more cow and cat. We'll take from our tall spine, chin to chest. So finding your great posture first, making sure that it's just the head and neck that are moving, not the rest of the spinal column. From here, you'll pendulum swing your right ear towards your right shoulder. And again, watch out for your whole body drifting. Good, and then chin to chest, left ear to the left shoulder. If you found something interesting, you're welcome to stay in that place of interest. Breathe. Full, deep, steady breaths. Feeling the tension slowly melting. It's always a good idea to remember how long tension may have been there or how long it took to amount to the amount that you have. We don't expect it to go away in one breath or one stretch. I mean, sometimes we do expect it to, but we shouldn't. Right? We want to bring some grace and patience to our practice. So keep on going there with that pendulum swing or holding a place of interest for one or two more breaths. And then bringing your head back to center. So in order to do the sun salutation that I want to show you, we are going to incorporate somewhat of a forward fold, and that's going to really depend on you and how stable you feel in your chair, how stable you feel in your feet, or how stable you feel in your seat. So we'll begin first with hands on the knees, dropping chin to chest, and then see if you feel comfortable kind of coming down to your elbows on your thighs. Taking a big breath into your back body. And if that feels okay and you feel like you want to go further, you can bring your hands down towards your shins or your feet or even the floor and start to bring your chest to your thighs. Again, this is going to depend greatly, not just on your body, but on the chair that you're in and your height in relation to it. So if your chair is kind of high, it might feel like you're going to spill out of it if you do this. If it's a bit lower and your feet are really firmly planted, you may feel stable enough to fold all the way. And you can bring one hand up to a thigh and then the other, use that to help curl and roll yourself back up. Good. So a sun salutation has several parts to it. We're going to go really slow this first time, and then we'll do it one more time to pace. Technically, we should not be doing a sun salutation at night. We should be doing a moon salutation. But this is when everybody in America likes to take class at 6 p.m. So this is what we're working with. But my idea is that I want to show you some solar sun practices that you would do in the morning time. And then our next session, our last session together, I'm going to teach you some of the lunar ones, right? So we've got those practices we can take with us anytime that we did our first session. I want to give you kind of a morning or daytime idea here. And the next time we'll do kind of a nighttime routine so that you have yoga for every day at any time you're ready for it. So that's my caveat. So we'll bring hands to heart center, or what's called Anjali Mudra. Take a deep breath and feel a little bit of pressure between the hands as the shoulders relax down, and feel yourself grounding into your sits bones. So this is our Tadasana, or our mountain pose. We want to feel ourselves actively standing in this posture, right? Standing in our seat, literally. Feel yourself standing in your sits bones, nice and tall and strong. On your next inhale, you're going to reach the hands upwards or forwards if upwards is not for you. As you exhale, you're going to come to your forward fold. Elbows can come to the thighs as you lean, or maybe even hands all the way to the floor. Up to you. You identified the right forward fold for you already. As you inhale, slide your way up. Send your chest forward, hands to the knees, gazing up. And then exhale, folding down once more. And now you're going to find the corners of your chair, those front corners of your chair. Press your hands into those corners and feel yourself sort of press so firmly that the arms straighten and you feel some strength through the shoulders. So if you're on the floor, the hands will be in front of you. This is simulating our downward facing dog. Okay. As you inhale, you're going to sit tall, keeping those arms strong and locked if possible. Roll the shoulders back and start to bend your elbows with a nice open chest. This is our chaturanga, or our push-up, right? So we're looking for an open chest as we pitch forward. Then as you inhale, come on up once more, a little bit of a back bend this time. Exhale, press into the chair. Let your chin drop towards your chest. Press, press, press those arms nice and strong as you kind of press into the back of your chair. It's that down dog again. Good. Release that effort, and you can either come onto your elbows or hands to the floor as you take forward fold. On your next inhale, you can roll to rise using your hands for support to push your way up if you need to. Arms will follow you as you reach towards the sky or in front of you. And hands to heart center where we began. So sun salutation is pretty long, and it's meant to build heat in the body, which is why there's a lot of up and down. Now, if we are doing it a little faster, there are some precautions there, right? If you have low or high blood pressure, that change of level quickly may not be for you. So I'm going to invite you to really take your time with it and do it just like we did just then. If it's managed, or if it's not a problem for you, then maybe you'd like to join me to pick up the pace a little bit. If your back needs you to move more slowly, right? If you tend to get a little twinge or a pinch if you're moving quickly, I invite you to do it slowly again. But if you'd like to experience the heat of the sun, we'll go with the pace of our breath. We're going to do it one more time, and I'll talk you through the whole thing. So we'll start with hands at heart center, and just do what you can at the pace that's right for you. We'll inhale and reach up nice and high. And then we'll exhale, forward fold, elbows to the thighs or hands to the legs or the floor. Inhale, about halfway lift, coming towards a flat back. Exhale, fold. And find the corners of your chair and press into straight arms. Feel strong there. Good. We're going to bend the elbows, chest is open, and it's sort of like a little push-up. Good. Then we'll inhale into a bit of a back bend, lift the chest, lift the gaze. Press into those arms nice and firm, curl your way back to press into the back of the chair so the arms are super strong. You can feel your core activating. That's like your down dog. And then we'll send the chest forward once more, not all the way to a back bend, just more like a flat back. Let yourself fold on down. Inhale, rising all the way up, using the help of the hands if you need on the corners of the chair, and then hands to heart center. So that's a lovely chair sun salutation. The levels change a lot. Listen to your body. It's meant to build heat. And again, the tradition would be to do it 6 times, a Surya Namaskar A or a Sun Salutation A, 6 times if you want to get things going in the morning. We'll take the hands now and bring them underneath that left leg and see if you can just help that leg up a little bit. And if that works for you, you can do it that way again, right? So we're looking to lift and lower that left leg. If the leg lifts on its own, you might lift it on its own, right? Keeping that tall, strong spine. We hope you have a pleasant evening. Okay. Now, if you've been lifting that up, see if you can comfortably cross it over. If your knee or your hip or any other part of your body says no thanks, that means no thanks, right? So we'll leave that leg on the floor if we need to, that foot on the floor, and we'll take a very mild twist that way, and you'll still get a little bit of that outer hip stretch. If crossing it over is okay for you and you'd like even more, then you can begin to slide it across to look like a figure 4. Good. So on the floor, my friend, you're going to look like this. Yes, that's it. And your hands can be behind you if you need some support. Good. So if you're in a chair and you followed me from that crisscross, that felt okay, to more of a figure 4 and it still feels okay, check in with the flex of this foot, see if it can be flexed. And then from there, if you're still feeling okay, you might come down onto your elbows. Notice if you're sort of canting yourself over to one side, if that left knee is traveling forward and the right hip is traveling back, or vice versa, if that left hip is kind of pulling back, and adjust yourself to be more square to the front, right? So could you actually feel like if there were an electrical outlet behind your tushy that you could plug that right hip in? Yeah. So you feel yourself align a little bit more, and that is undoubtedly going to give you more of a stretch through the IT and TFL and glute muscles, or that outer hip. Now we'll slowly rise up, and we're going to keep that crisscross. If you've got crisscross here, keep it. If you've got half pigeon here, keep it. If you've got your foot flat on the floor, keep it. Whatever you've got, you're going to keep. You're going to take that left arm to the sky, right, in your case. Inhale, reach up even higher, and we'll add in that little bit of a side stretch. Now, as you take that side stretch, feel yourself really dropping that left hip into the chair. Good. So you're going to, yes. Yeah. Good. One more full breath there. And then we'll rise up and release. If you need to help that leg off, please do. Maybe a little circle for the ankle before you place it down. Now, we already did our side stretch on each side earlier, really simple side stretch by itself. Now we've incorporated that outer hip stretch at the same time, which helped us to access our low back and our glutes, and even a little bit into the hamstring and into the outer hip quite a bit. So I'll ask you to close your eyes or soften your gaze one more time and just feel through the whole left side of your body now, that side that you stretched. How does it feel in the map of your mind? From your shoulder to your hip, maybe even down to your knee and your foot. Does that side of your body actually feel bigger or longer? Or maybe just a little more comfortable? There's no wrong answer, but if it does, now you know, add that into your morning. Good. When you're ready, you can bring your gaze back. We'll bring the hands underneath that right thigh, and we'll give a little help to lift and lower. Good. If that feels okay for you to lift and lower with assistance, you might try it without assistance. And if that's feeling okay, the hip doesn't mind being up and in that deeper flexion, you might cross it over. And you may lean forward a bit there to see how that's feeling. If that's feeling okay, you may even add in to the half pigeon shape or this figure 4 shape. Watch out for the leg on the floor being sort of off to the side or underneath the chair or out in front of you, because what we tend to do is move this knee lower so that it feels like we're doing the posture, but then we lose our stability. So from there, remember that idea of the outlet. Can you plug that left hip in now to the outlet? And then maybe you're coming forward a bit onto the hands or the elbows. Using that full, deep, steady breath. Having a flex through that right foot. One more full breath. Notice your shoulders, your forehead, your jaw. Notice your mind. Is it busy? Is it judging? You, the pose, me, the moment. Maybe it's already gone somewhere in the future or the past. Can we bring it back to the breath and the sensation and the observation of right now? When you're ready to sit tall, we're going to keep whatever crisscross you've chosen. We'll sweep that right arm up and lean. Your left hand can help you to stabilize. Feel yourself rooting down and rising up. So we don't want to round and shrink into that side stretch. You may even actively, internally feel yourself kind of pressing the right knee down. Full breath. And one more. And then we'll rise on up. You can help that leg off or take it off. Maybe a circle or two for your ankle before you take it down. Shimmy, shake it out. You can soften your gaze and listen into your body. Perhaps they're feeling a bit more even now. And if we hadn't stopped in between, you may not even notice how different it actually is to feel so long. Then we're going to take one last posture tonight, and this will be sort of incremental. You'll build on it as you see fit for your body. So we'll scoot forward if that's available to you. And we'll take the arms all the way out and let the chest kind of open up and maybe lean forward a little bit with it. And then as you exhale, you can round and hug. Oop. We'll take that again, inhaling, reaching out. As you exhale and crisscross, do the opposite of what feels natural. So can you put the other arm on top? Good. We'll do one more set like that. So inhaling, open, exhaling, cross the way you naturally normally do. Inhaling to open, exhaling to cross the way that makes your brain think about it. Good. And then we'll reach those arms out wide. So if your space allows, your arms allow, your shoulders allow, we're going to keep those arms out nice and wide. If the space in front of you allows and your hips allow, we're going to take that left leg out to the side a little bit. And that knee will sort of point on an angle. Good. And then we'll take the right leg out and let that knee point out on an angle. Good. That's great. And then we'll bend our elbows. Good. So what often happens, and it's happening in the room here, is this, right? Look at the elbows, the wrists, and the hands. When our hands do that, it tends to take our shoulders and our neck and our head and our posture with it. So you may not even realize when we sit at the computer all the time that we start to do this, right? And then try, if you're in that poor posture and you try to lift your arms up, your hands pull back, right? In an effort to sort of pull yourself there. I literally can't go any differently. But if I sit up, I can open up, right? So see if you can find that tall spine with the arms out wide, thumbs pointing up. Imagine the wall was behind you, like I've got this great door behind me, and press into that imaginary wall. Press the back of your head into that imaginary wall, but drop the chin a little bit. And then as you bend your elbows, you feel that incredible strength in the upper back. Again, we're looking for small shifts. So if you were really here before, a little bit better is a lot of bit better. Right? An inch is a mile inside. And so we'll take a few breaths there. And you might have those legs in what we call goddess pose. And then we'll release that effort. You can walk the feet back in. And if you'd like, a forward fold to let go. The hands can find their way to the corners of the chair to help scoot yourself up. So there are a lot of postures that we can do half on, half off the chair if we want to add in things like a warrior two, right? And some of you have done those before. They look kind of like this. I don't love to do them in an online format like this because everyone has a different chair. So some of us have corners poking into our leg. Some of us have chairs that are too high or too low. And I just want to say that all of those postures are wonderful. And so if you're waiting for me to teach them to you, I'm not going to. But there are some great resources, and I'm happy to point you in that direction. It's really important that you're working with the body that you have and the equipment that you have to find the right mix, right? So if you ever try a chair class and you're feeling frustrated, like they look so serene and this is really uncomfortable, right? Maybe you're trying like a warrior one kind of a thing. Maybe your chair is the wrong chair for the way that they're doing it, right? So we have to adjust for those sorts of things.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect, they always say, right? So I just want to mention that because sun salutations are a warm-up practice, a heating practice, and they do usually lead to our warriors, our warrior one, or warrior two, or warrior three. We're not doing them. If you choose to do them, please just be kind to yourself and really pay attention to those little things of the height of the chair, the width of the chair, the depth of the chair, and the depth of you from your hip to your knee, okay? All right, so we're actually gonna relax ourselves back now, and if you want to, you can lay flat. If you're at home and you wanna lay on a sofa or a chair instead of the chair that you're in, go ahead, yeah, or your bed. You can soften your gaze. If you are in a chair that could easily move to a wall and you want to be able to rest your head behind you, you can do that as well, right? So if you have a wall behind you that your head can rest uncomfortably, go for it. And let your hands rest to your lap. Soften your gaze or close your eyes, taking that deep breath. And feeling yourself drop into the support of the chair, the ground beneath you. Notice if there's any tension in your jaw or your forehead, or even the corners of your eyes that you don't need. Check in with your muscles. Do you feel a sense of anticipation, like you're waiting for the next movement? And if so, can you send a signal to ease into the present moment, to let go of that expectation? In our mind, when we have a lot of expectations, it can make us quite anxious. We feel that tension, that struggle in our mind between where we are and where we think we might go. It creates a lot of busyness there. And the same thing can happen in our physical body, in our muscles, if we carry a lot of anticipation about what we may have to do or may need to do, where we might be going. It's really hard to relax and soften into the present moment. And sometimes all it takes is a deep breath and a body scan to see, am I doing that right now? Is my belly clenched? Are my thighs firmer than they need to be right now? And then we'll get even more subtle with it. Is the way that your hands are resting, creating tension that you don't need in your shoulders. Could you maybe slide your elbows to drop down more by your sides rather than reaching in front of you? Could you let your fingers curl naturally to the place that they want to rest rather than being flattened by a leg? And that might mean that you're turning your palms upwards in the center of your lap a little bit more. Is your tongue pressing to the roof of your mouth? Can you let it drop down and hang more like a hammock? And if it was pressed up and you dropped it down, can you feel now almost a mirror reaction in your eyes, in your forehead, in your jaw, in your cheeks? We did a rotation of consciousness last time. I talked you through a very detailed point to point in your body. In the interest of time, this time I'm going to go through larger body sections or areas to accomplish a similar sensation for that rotation of consciousness. And then I'm going to talk you through the 5 elements, accessing that sensation in your body. And then we'll move on to the imagery of opposites. So for example, imagining heaviness and lightness. This is all truly an exercise for your mind, imagining these things in the body. So even if you have neuropathy or an amputation or anything that creates what may be perceived as a barrier to sensation, I invite you to really consider this rotation of consciousness, right? Where does consciousness exist? In the mind. This is an exercise for your mind. Even if we do not feel a physical sensation as we do this, we regard it as though we do, right? So these are the first few stages of what's called yoga nidra. And tonight I'm just adding in a few more of those stages, right? Those elements and sensations. So I'll ask you once more to soften your gaze or close your eyes. We'll let the announcement go by. Without fail, anytime I do yoga nidra, there's always an announcement or a fire truck where someone sneezes or something, right? So we'll practice our ability to drop in that we've been honing this whole time, to drop back into yourself, back into your body, your mind, your breath, your internal landscape. Soft gaze or closed eyes. Letting go of that sensation of rooting to rise and instead opting for that sensation of dropping in, of absorbing like water to a sponge. Feeling yourself sort of pooling in the present. Notice the soles of your feet. Notice the tops of your feet. Notice your ankles. Notice your shins. Notice your calves. Notice your knees. Notice your thighs. Notice your glutes or your seat. Notice your hips, your pelvic bowl, your low belly, your low back, your mid belly, your mid back, the sides of your waist, your sternum, your chest, your upper back, your shoulder blades, your collarbones, your armpits, your biceps, the inside of your elbows, the inside of your forearms, the inside of your wrists, palms, fingers, fingertips, the back of your hands and knuckles, the back of your wrists, the back of your forearms, elbow points, triceps, your shoulders, the sides of your neck, the back of your neck, throat center, your jaw, your ears, your cheeks, your mouth, teeth, tongue, and lips, your nose, your eyes, your eyebrows, your temples, your forehead, the back of your head, the crown of your head. Now notice both of your feet, your lower legs, knees, upper legs, pelvis, torso, your arms, wrists, and hands. Notice your shoulders, neck, head. Notice your whole lower body. Notice your whole upper body. And now notice your whole body together. Your whole body together. your whole body together. In this full body consciousness, this full body awareness, sense the earthiness of you, your solidity, your presence. Notice the soft wind quality of your breath. Watch it passively as it comes and goes, enters and exits. Check in with the soft fire of your digestion. Your gut instinct, your intuition. Sense the fluid systems in your body, like blood and lymph, moving like lazy rivers, supporting and sustaining your life easily. Notice the space in your mind and the space that you occupy. Earth, wind, fire, water, and space. These 5 elements exist in all things. And so if we have all elements, then we have all sensations available at our mind's fingertips. Imagine tapping into that earthiness, the sensation of heaviness in your body. Feel your whole body heavy here now. Now tapping into that element of space, can you feel a sense of lightness, ease, and airiness? Perhaps even the feeling of a shell. And then can you find that thing that exists between heaviness and lightness, the feeling of floating, the feeling of both support from below, spaciousness from above, floating in between. Tapping into that wind and water, can you feel a sense of coolness? Perhaps even cold. Draw the sensation of cold. Now tapping into that digestion, can you feel a sense of heat, hot, warmth? Tapping into a sense of warmth in your whole body. And then just like the porridge, find that temperature that's just right between. In perfect comfort. Your ideal temperature. Heaviness, lightness, floating, cold, hot, just right. Allow your mind to rest in this moment of just right, of full presence, And begin to welcome back a little depth to your breath. Restore the sensation of the ground beneath you, the space around you. The knowledge that we're together. And you can start to welcome back a little wiggle to your fingers and toes, maybe ankles and wrists. If you'd like, you can turn your head side to side or up and down or circle, and let that grow into any bigger stretch that you might need, or like you just woke up. Any little movements or big ones that you need. And we'll come back together once more, hands at heart center. Take a moment here for gratitude to yourself for this time to practice. No matter how it felt or turned out for you, the practice is in the observing. So even if there were moments of unpleasantness or moments of sheer bliss and anything in between, it's all a practice of observation, of learning to stay here and now. So a deep breath in gratitude to yourself for this time to practice. And then we'll take another deep breath of gratitude to each other for this shared safe space and shared experience. We always do more together than we do alone. And I thank you for sharing and trusting your time with me. We'll take one last big audible breath. So nice big inhale. And then let it go. Thanks, everyone. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We can stay on after the recording, or you can always email me. My email is rebecca@veteransyogaproject.org. Make sure it's .org.